Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's Wednesday, a new episode of Married at First Sight just came on, and I can't wait until this season is finally over. But in a few moments, I'll be sharing my thoughts and feelings on episode 14 of Married at First Sight San Diego. And over the course of this video, I'll be sharing my episode breakdown, followed by what happened with the cast members from the episode, and I'll cap the review off by offering my overall episode rating. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. Episode 14 marks 10 days until decision day for the cast members. Throughout this episode, we see the cast members getting ready for their retreat. We see them at the retreat. We see them attend a prom that was planned by Miguel to give Lindy the experience that she missed in high school. There's a ton of drama with Lindy and Miguel, but the couples go on a few dates and they play a game of dodgeball at the retreat. Now, if you haven't seen this episode yet, then don't even bother. You should treat it like a bill collector and avoid it. It was definitely an episode that could have been condensed into 1 hour and it would have been just as worthless to watch. But I'll spend a few minutes talking about this prom celebration. Now, if I had to describe this prom, I would say that it was pretty boring. I mean, the cast members danced and had a good time, but the award ceremony was probably the messiest and most passive-aggressive moments that the cast members had this season. In this scene, we see Alexis and Krysten giving out awards to everybody. Alexis wins Life of the Party award, but she finds a way to throw a jab at Justin for not allowing her to go out to the club with her friends every night. Nate wins the Best Dancer award. Lindy wins the Biggest Drama Queen award, which was a given. Mitch wins the Most Likely to Save the Planet award, as well as the Class Clown award. Stacia wins the Best All-Around award. Alexis also wins the Biggest Gossip award, and she brags about using her gossip to end Morgan and Ben's marriage, which I thought was pretty messed up. But not as messed up as Krysten voting herself as most likely to end up in multiple divorces. She seems to be the only one laughing at this award, while confirming that she and Mitch will likely not remain married. But Miguel and Lindy get voted prom king and queen, so all in all, the prom was messy with its awards, but it was not really memorable outside of that. Now let's move on to Alexis and Justin. In this episode, we finally learn that Alexis and Justin consummated their marriage. When Justin gives his interview about the experience, he considers what he and Alexis did in the bedroom as them making love. But the way Alexis questions Justin on whether or not he enjoyed himself while clapping her cheeks made me wonder if Alexis enjoyed herself. But I didn't have to wonder too long, because later on in the episode, Alexis tells the other women that Justin had issues with his stamina and things were awkward between them during their first time, which is essentially code for Alexis hating the experience. I do think it's somewhat messed up how some of the women for this season are trash talking the men's bedroom skills, but if that same energy was given towards the women, then they would feel insecure about it. But ever since Justin was able to give Alexis that good old pickle tickle, I've noticed a change in his demeanor. He didn't cry once during this episode, his voice has gotten noticeably deeper, and he's walking with a purpose. So whether or not Alexis and Justin actually make it past decision day, at least Justin can walk away from the experience knowing that he got to crack the buns. Now let's move on to Lindy and Miguel. For the majority of this season, I spent little to no time talking about them because in my opinion, they were being fake for their scenes on the show. Now it seems like everything has finally come to a head. Now the issue at hand for this episode started with Miguel coming off of a busy week, trying to relax, and Lindy nagging him to take a picture of her. Miguel agrees to do this, but Lindy is treating him like a servant and he doesn't like it. Now there's a lot of back and forth with Lindy and Miguel during this episode, but what it all boils down to is Miguel feels that Lindy doesn't know how to communicate with him or read the room. He feels that Lindy can be selfish and that she doesn't try to listen to him. And lastly, Miguel hates it when Lindy hints that he hasn't seen her crazy side yet. And I completely see Miguel's side on this. But in fairness, throughout this episode, Miguel had a counterproductive way of communicating with Lindy. He doesn't seem to know when to give Lindy grace or assure Lindy that he is not her enemy. And Miguel's demeanor during these discussions isn't a good look in my opinion, because it gives off the impression that Miguel has some abusive tendencies. Now I know guys like Miguel, and I'm pretty sure Miguel has not abused Lindy in any way, but he also doesn't know how to let things go, and he has overreacted to a lot of what happened this episode. Next up, there's Stacia and Nate. There's really not much to say about them during this episode. Most of their scenes are regulated to them just talking about sex toys or objects, such as the sex swing and vibrating panties. The scene with them at the dinner table, with Nate using the remote on Stasia's vibrating panties, was very funny, but it's safe to say that this couple is in good standing. And lastly, there's Krysten and Mitch. There's also really not much to say about them for this episode. It seems like for the cameras, they're playing nice. But throughout this episode, Krysten has made a series of slick comments about Mitch and her marriage to the group that seem to indicate that she's just playing along with the show until the season ends. But overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this episode a solid 4. It was definitely nice to see Lindy and Miguel keeping it real for once and not pretending to be the perfect couple. It was also nice to see Justin and Alexis finally consummate their marriage. But the episode was definitely one that I could have skipped and I had no regrets about. But thankfully there are only 2 more episodes until the Decision Day episode. And then we have the part 1 and 2 reunion before the season is a wrap. But this marks the end of my review. If you have any comments about this episode or my review, feel free to leave them below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.